Hi, and welcome to the Revive, Thrive, and Optimize podcast. I'm Billy Weiss, compounding pharmacist and health and wellness expert. And this morning, as always, my co-host Janet and behind the scenes, Mike. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Billy. Good morning, Mike. And today I just want to talk about you.
Uh-oh.
So you didn't know this.
What'd I do?
So I got up this morning around 4:30 thinking about what can we talk about today. And one of the things that popped up is, why so early in the morning?
Yeah,
But
it is early.
But I know you're busy, right? And so this is a great time to get in and do this.
Yep.
And so I just thought, well, why Billy? Why would someone want to hear from you? Why do we want to learn from you? And just talk a little bit about you.
Okay.
I was telling someone about your annual class that you teach once a year. It's coming up January 10th and 11th. And they said, oh, yeah, we've heard of Billy. He's a local guy, and he owns a few pharmacies, but they don't really know anything else about you. Mm-hmm. And so tell us a little bit more. How long have you been a pharmacist, and a little bit about, why were you interested in that? And then we'll talk about how that's evolved.
Okay. Well, I think a good place to start, Janet, is that I graduated from UNC Chapel Hill Pharmacy School in 1990. And my wife, Beth, graduated from there in 91. So been a pharmacist for 36 years, or just about now. And just went straight into the wellness out of pharmacy school because of my grandmother's situation with cancer,
Right.
which I've told before. But that led me to understand that, the system was broken and we needed to do something different, because I watched her go through what they said was the only way and the best way and the standard way, and it was a disaster. And there was so many better ways that I didn't know. So that motivated me to go, back to school through the University of South Florida School of Medicine and obtain an advanced fellowship in metabolic and nutritional medicine.
And you were
which
just
is where that
passionate,
all kind of started.
right?
Yeah.
And your passion, even when
Yeah.
you tell that story, is so moving. And I've heard it so many times, but so many times a tragedy will fuel something that becomes our life mission, right?
Yeah.
And I think this is your life mission. And then, a lot of us know what a pharmacist is, but what is a compounding pharmacist, and why and what is different about that?
Yeah, so
And why aren't all pharmacists compounding pharmacists?
Well, when you graduate pharmacy school, technically you are legal to do either, right? What we call traditional pharmacy, which is what you think of the CVS or Walgreens kind of pharmacist. You're able to be a hospital pharmacist or a clinical pharmacist. And you technically are able to you're licensed to be a compounding pharmacist, which means that you're actually putting things together, mixing things, making, capsules, tablets, suppositories, creams, lotions, gels. There's all kind of stuff we do, right? Troches.
You're like a mad scientist.
It's like, it's like a chemistry experiment in a mad lab. That's right, mad scientist. For me, though, there was no way when I went back to to get my fellowship in metabolic and nutritional medicine, I knew that I needed to get into compounding bioidentical hormones and those kind of things. And this is way back, right after pharmacy school. And I knew for sure that I was not prepared at all to be a compounding pharmacist, because that's not the concentration of what you do in pharmacy school. I was for sure ready to go out and work in a retail or hospital setting, but not to be making hormones for you or, my
more
grandmother
individualized,
or my wife
personalized.
or anybody else. Yeah. So, it allows individualized, personalized, things that you can only do through compounding. Mm-hmm. And so I went to the Professional Compounding Centers of America, Beth and I did, in Houston, Texas, and did training there because I wanted to make sure that if we were going to be compounding, we were doing it right. And I'll tell you a quick story of why that's so important. So there are things you learn there that you just don't learn in pharmacy school, because all they do is compounding. They have, dozens and dozens of pharmacists who are on staff who do nothing but teach and study compounding and how it works, and they experiment, and they have a very nice facility and labs everywhere. So One of the things that we learned was some certain things that when you're compounding thyroid hormones, that you can't put in those thyroid capsules, or you will interfere with the body's ability to absorb it.
That's interesting because I do take a compounded thyroid.
Yes. And that is very, very common today. We do lots and lots of thyroid hormones. And one of the things that you couldn't add to that was a very common filler, to fill the capsules. And it was used in almost everything. But if you use it in the thyroid, you reduce the absorption of the thyroid by like 35%.
Oh, wow.
Which in thyroid is what we call a narrow therapeutic drug. Okay, which just means that the amounts are very precise, and losing 10%, much less 35%, or
then
gaining
it's not
10%
work.
is right. It's going to be a disaster.
Yeah.
So I know, I spent the money to go and travel and take the time and learn and do it through PCCA. And so I had a lady come in. I'll never forget it. It was a day in the winter when it was snowing, and it was near Christmas, so it was near this time of year. And she come in, and she just looked like she didn't feel good. And she told me how bad she felt. And, I asked her what was going on, and she said, well, I'm on this thyroid, and I've been okay, but I changed pharmacies, and now I moved here, and I changed pharmacies and to a local pharmacy, and I'm really, really struggling. And so I just, picked up the phone after having a discussion with her and called the pharmacy and said, hey, can you, I'm here with this lady. Can you tell me what your ingredients are? Yeah. And they were using the filler that interferes with the absorption of about 35% of her thyroid.
Wow.
And so, you never want to, I certainly never want to throw another pharmacist or anybody under the bus and say, hey, I think they're doing this wrong. I just said, maybe we should try to, make this for you and see how you do. If you want me to transfer this prescription, we'll do it. So we made her the compound, and, within, I think it was 2 or 3 days later, she came in and she just wanted to hug everybody.
Wow.
And it was just because I knew why, but I don't think she ever figured out why.
Right.
But it was because, and what makes this story so important, I think, and what I always remembered was the other pharmacist is somebody I knew. And when I told him I was going to PCCA, it was very expensive. And he said, I'm not spending money on that. We already have a license to compound. I said, I understand, but I don't feel like I'm ready to do that. I don't feel like I'm qualified to do that properly. And so he wouldn't spend the money. And he told me he wasn't going to spend the money.
That's interesting.
But then he was compounding thyroid in a way that could really, really harm somebody.
And didn't even realize it.
Right.
It's funny you said that, because everything that you do, you seek out the best of the best of the best, no matter how much it costs. And I've watched you for years, do that and walk the walk and talk, for everything you talk about, you're walking the walk. And that's one of the reasons, like, we continue to learn from you. And I'm taking a lot of compounded meds. So, I just want to jump right into hormones and hormone replacement therapy. Like, how do you know a lot about that? And, now that a lot of people are doing HRT and doing it around town, there's this compound or there's the patch, and what's the difference? And
well,
help me out.
Janet, let's, I'll answer the questions, but let's maybe think about this from your perspective and Don's perspective. So you say that, but why you live in Shelby, but you come to Gastonia for your compounds, for your supplements, for, your education. So why do you and Don do that? Because hear it from your perspective rather than, and then I'll answer.
Okay. Good question. Well, 10 years ago, we took your class. That's how we met you. I learned a little bit about it. I wanted to be able to educate my students. I'm in front of a lot of, especially women, every day, and everybody was going through a lot of inflammation, pain, weight gain, couldn't sleep, and perimenopause. particularly the women that I was in front of. And I'm standing in front of them and I'm going through it worse than any of them, at least I thought. And so I was seeking advice. When I took your class and I realized the type of person you are, the education that you have, and how you continually educate yourself and stay current on science and new data and things like that, I was blown away, actually, at how much I learned. And so we made a commitment to continue to learn and to learn as much as we could on our own. And then you were always 25 steps ahead of us. So we just can't get enough still. And we come to your class every year. So I feel like it's worth the extra 10 minutes to drive over here because I know I'm getting the best. I know that if I have a question, because I've seen 5 different hormone specialists in the area, but you're the one that helped me sit down with my labs and understand what I needed that's different for me and who I could get that from and why. Like I have lots of questions to ask, but you helped me to know what questions to ask the doctor that I was going to, because I want to understand. And I get very confused. And I have certain things going on with me or autoimmune issues that you were able to help me with. I also knew that you've had 30 years of experience with hormones, with compounding, and with helping tens of thousands of people with specific autoimmune or cancer or diseases that were very unique. So you just were the only one I could find that had all this experience, right? And you walked the walk. So from LA to Asheville to Charlotte and back to here, I haven't ever found anybody that's a mad scientist like you. So that's one reason we want to keep learning from you. And we also continue to see you, Beth, your kids, your grandkids, how healthy they are, how it all continues to evolve and bloom. And it's very exciting to be around that and to be around your energy and to get to learn from you.
Well, good. Well, thank you so much. I just thought it would be great to hear your perspective of why.
I think I trust you. We trust you.
Well, you hit a lot of really good things there, I think. And you said something that's really important. And that's why you said that I want to have the best of everything in what I do. And that is really important to me. And that is where so many other people and places will cut corners, right, to save money. And that's not important to me to save money because I always look at it like this. What if my wife or my grandmother or my mother or my kids or my grandkids are going to use it? Mm-hmm. I want to make sure that it's the best. Mm-hmm. And one really important thing that you mentioned there are like creams. So all these creams that are made can be very high quality and have non-toxic ingredients in them, or they can be very low quality, inexpensive, and have a lot of toxic ingredients, and you probably wouldn't know the difference.
You're talking about hormones when you're talking about
mainly
creams?
Talking about hormones right
so
now.
Testosterone, estrogen, estradiol.
Yeah. So it's not only the quality of the hormone that we're putting in there, but it's the quality of what it's mixed with, just like the story with the thyroid.
Okay.
So are you getting a compound that has toxic ingredients that are maybe cancer causing or that type of thing, hormone disrupting chemicals in the cream that they're mixing it with because it's inexpensive? And so we don't cut those kind of corners, period. We're not trying to be the least expensive. I mean, I don't think we're any more expensive than anybody else, but we're not trying to cut costs.
Right,
we're trying to give people the best product.
Well, I remember trying to decide, do I want this progesterone or that progesterone? Mm-hmm. And this other one cost a little more. And I came to you and I said, Billy, my insurance will pay for this one,
yes,
but my insurance won't pay for that one. Can you tell me the difference? And I remember you said that one has peanut oil in it.
Absolutely.
You know, and a lot of people are allergic to peanuts, and peanut oil is one of the worst things for you. And it's a small amount, but I'm taking this every single day, a lot of it every single day, and I didn't want all that peanut oil. So just one.
Well, not only that, Janet, but the fact that product that you're talking about, that commercially available progesterone capsule, when we look at the studies, and Neil Rosier talks about this all the time, you never see anybody's level move. It's just we're not there. It's not very absorbable apparently because nobody's progesterone levels.
So that's where a big transition happened with me, is that when I met you, I was already on hormone replacement therapy. We ran my labs and we sat down, and even though I'm taking a lot of this stuff, I was not getting the proper levels or the proper delivery systems that I needed. And I know we're all different. And so you really helped me a lot with that.
Yeah. And, you talk about levels, and that's really important because I have a provider who does a lot of hormones and a lot of really cool stuff in South Carolina. And she called me one day and she said, "Hey, I just want to let you know." She said, "I will not send another prescription anywhere else." And I mean, she's probably 40 minutes from me.
Wow.
I mean, it's not like
so her people are driving.
Yeah, because she won't do it because she had a patient who was coming to her and they insisted on getting their hormones at a local place close to them. And she was fine with that until the lady kept complaining of the same complaints. And she said, "Well, let's redraw your labs and see, what you're looking like, because I got you on the doses that should be moving the needle for your symptoms."
Yeah.
And she checked her labs, and her labs hadn't moved at all. And she said, "Just humor me. Let me send them here. Let's recheck your labs, in a few weeks. Let's see how you feel." And her labs immediately went up and her symptoms immediately went away. And she said, "Now I really, really get the quality of what you're doing, the difference in what you're doing." Because I can order hormones from a lot of places, but I only want to get them from the places I am 1,000% confident are what they say they are. They're 99.9+% pure. And then I'm putting them in the right medians, whether it's capsules, tablets, troches, suppositories, that are clean, that don't have any cancer-causing or hormone-disrupting agents in them, so that everybody that gets them gets the results and gets the highest quality product that we can provide.
That's so important, and I know it's so important to you. My best friend lives in Davidson, Huntersville, Davidson area, and there's so many great providers in that area in Charlotte, Davidson, Huntersville, and they cost a lot more. And there's a lot of compounding pharmacies, but they drive here to get it from you because, well, for all the same reasons that you said, 1,000% sure that you're doing the best of the best. So, I know that there was a period of time where you were, you've done a lot of things. You teach at colleges. You've, been a spokesperson or a guest speaker at, big events. And tell me a little bit about your experience teaching cardiologists, because that's fascinating to me that a group of cardiologists called you in to learn from you.
So it's kind of crazy how that happened. I actually was at a different, not even a medical meeting. It was more of a business opportunity meeting in Florida, Fort Lauderdale. And I met a guy, and his name was Bill, and he was a PA for a group of cardiologists. He was a physician assistant for him. And he was a really healthy looking guy, and he and I just kind of hit it off right off. We just started talking, had lunch together. He starts asking me what I do, and next thing I know, he's like, "Well, I've got a group of cardiologists that I work with that need to learn this stuff." And he's like, "I'm going to talk to them, and would you be willing to come and teach us?" And I was like, "Yeah, we'll just have to figure out how we would do it." And so what they started doing was flying me down on the weekends, and I would teach them.
And you're teaching them nutrition.
I'm teaching them really the summit weekend.
Okay, wow.
It just took longer because we're doing like Friday afternoons, and it was mainly Friday afternoons.
And basically the summit weekend is teaching you everything you need to know about your body and how to reduce your causes of death.
Yeah, it is, Janet. But the beauty of it is that it's great for the average person because I try to make it so understandable and it's so applicable and fun.
And no matter what age you are.
But the same thing works for the cardiology clinic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because what works. It doesn't have to be complicated. Right. It doesn't have to be overly cumbersome in a classroom setting, right, where we have to have all this stuff. It's really, the body is very intricate, but it's also very basic. If you do the right things, you get the right results. So,
well, it's hard to do the right things and get the right results when maybe the American Heart Association or the American Diabetes Association is maybe not giving the right information.
You know, we were having a conversation. It's funny you bring this up because we were having this conversation just yesterday. Yesterday morning, we had hiked, and we had some friends over for breakfast, and I'd cooked breakfast. We're sitting there eating, and I don't even remember how the subject come up, but the lady said something about she couldn't believe what they were doing to so-and-so with the doctor. And she couldn't believe they still were using this treatment, and the doctor suggested it. And Beth said something that I thought was so, I mean, it's just spot on. She said, she said, it's really sad that doctors have to obviously be intelligent people. They have to be intelligent people to be able to get into medical school, to get through medical school. She said, but they are not open to anything new. And it's true, Janet. We still run into this today we had this podcast, I don't know, a couple weeks ago.
Last week about the black box warning.
Okay, yeah, maybe it was last week. Yeah. So it's true that I've been teaching that for probably 30 plus years, that this data was skewed. I mean, it was obvious that it was skewed, that we weren't using the same hormones that we're talking about, that it wasn't true, just like the thing with testosterone and heart attacks black box has been removed. These things, they literally are decades behind. They're not years behind. They are decades behind. And I'll never forget, I heard a lecture from somebody in the medical school, or not medical school, but PA school at High Point, because I was teaching a class there for the pharmacy students. And my daughter was in PA school there, and she said, you should come hear this guy's talk today. It's going to be awesome. It was it was open to the more than just the students. And he was talking about how in medicine, we're usually decades behind the research and the science. And he said, unfortunately, and it's true, sometimes you just have to wait on a generation of providers to die before anything will change, because they're unwilling to change, even when the data shows. And so that's what I've been up against, I feel like, for the past 35, 36 years, is you worded it somehow at the beginning that I always seem to be 10 or 11 steps ahead or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's just because I go out and constantly I'm learning.
Yeah.
And I'm constantly trying to actually read through the study and not just the headline of the study. Like,
understand
estrogen causes cancer.
Cancer, yeah.
Well, does it? Because that's not what the research actually showed. That's what the headline showed. Testosterone caused heart attacks. That's what the headline showed. That's not what the research showed. Actually, when you dig into it, it's probably just the opposite of both of those things. And so it's a case of just, I think they've invested lots of time, lots of money, lots of effort, and they refuse to believe that it's wrong. And it's really sad.
It is.
Because, I mean, some of the most basic things that are so easy to explain, they just won't listen.
Well, and then we sit in front of the TV and the commercials that are coming at us, or if you want to take it up to, the lobbyists that are, lobbying for the pharmaceutical companies, for big agriculture, for, big food, all that stuff, they're throwing all this money at telling us something completely different than what you're telling us.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing that your class helped me figure out. Well, what the basic things, like what do I really want to buy when I'm at the grocery store? What kind of oil do I need to use? What kind of magnesium do I want to take? Like, and why? I don't want to just blindly spend my money, or just blindly listen to somebody that may not know what they're talking about.
Well, Janet, unfortunately, there's a trend around where a lot of people who are not just in healthcare, but I'm using healthcare as the example because that's what we're talking about, who are literally fed up with this broken system. And they're so fed up with it, they want to do something else.
Right.
And so they'll jump into, say, maybe hormones.
Right. I'm seeing that a lot.
Or wellness.
Yeah.
And they really, Janet, they've maybe taken a weekend, maybe. I mean, they don't have to take anything. They're qualified legally to do it, just like I was qualified to compound legally. I was not ready to compound safely. And so they'll jump in and open up a hormone clinic.
Right.
Or
and
they'll
that's
open
great.
up a weight loss clinic.
I'm glad they're doing
fine,
it. That's great.
But they have, in my professional opinion, a lot of them don't have a clue what they're doing.
Or they don't have the experience.
And they don't have the experience, and they won't go get the education, and they
won't even come to your class, which they could learn so
even Janet, a lot of stuff that some of the major so-called wellness, anti-aging, hormone related
longevity,
yeah. Some of the most common, most popular, most used organizations for that education are just a leg of big pharma. And they are teaching really just like the I don't know, like the little version of it just to get you off the track of what would be considered the standard of care. And it's really not any different. It's like, let's use the lowest dose of this, and we'll only put them on it for a short time, and we'll only use patches or we'll only use cream because we don't want to increase heart attacks and blood clots and strokes, which are not true, which are being removed. But that's the way they teach it. And so now these doctors go out, or these PAs or nurse practitioners, and they start these hormone clinics or wellness clinics or longevity clinics, and they're just kind of off the main path enough that they're different, but they're not really getting results. And I think probably the biggest thing that I've seen is you mentioned it earlier, is the tens of thousands of people that I've had come to me and the results.
Yeah, because you've had to work with so many people.
Well,
and
that's really
so
what
many
speaks.
out.
And the thing is, I think that what my years of education have done is allow me to help people with, or give them guidance, I should say, with just about any condition that they can come up with. Because when you understand the physiology of how the body works, really you can boil everything down to, let's just get your physiology going back in the way that it's designed to be. And so it doesn't matter if it's autoimmune, it doesn't matter if it's diabetes, it doesn't matter if it's cancer, it doesn't matter what it is. Let's take this path, and we are almost always going to have a positive outcome from that. It may not fix everything.
It's shocking to me that I have friends going to get hormones now, but they have no idea what their level should be or what to ask the doctor about. And over Thanksgiving, I was talking to a friend with diabetes, and she doesn't know the difference between what's insulin, what's glucose. Just having the education, because I have a brilliant friend that opened up a new wellness clinic, and that's awesome, and I hope he does great. But when I walk in there, I want to be able to know what questions to ask him, and I want to know what my levels are, and I want to know, am I getting enough level that I've got my libido back and I'm not having hot flashes, but I'm at the level where I'm going to protect my bones and my brain and not have a heart attack and cancer and that sort of thing, right? So I know that you can't prescribe hormones, but you can tell me what to ask and maybe who to go see.
Yes.
Tell me where to get it compounded once they write the prescription, things like that really make the difference in why I spent that money in the first place.
Yeah, Janet, the thing that I find that makes the most difference is probably a word you've probably used earlier today. If not, you certainly got to that point, is the passion to help people.
Yeah.
And a lot of these people, I mean, as bad as it is, I don't know that they have that passion, and they're not willing to go out and spend the money and travel and learn like me and the providers that I would typically recommend. But when I think about that, and I think about how passionate the people that I would recommend are,
Yeah.
and how educated they are.
Yeah, one of your providers that you sent me to, I mean, it could be in the middle of the night on a weekend, and I'll message her in the portal, and she'll message me right back, and I'm like, "What are you doing up?" She's like, "I'm studying. I'm in a course all weekend. I'm,
well,
passionate."
and that's the difference in getting what I would call like the best care versus, oh yeah, I went and took a weekend course somewhere, and I'm doing this, but I don't really know what I'm doing. But hey, here we go. And so that's what I'm looking for, is people who want to give the best care. And so I only have really 3 providers that I will recommend for hormones for men or women. Now, a lot of the people just get their provider currently to do whatever suggestions I make, which is fine if they'll do that. Great. And a lot of them will.
Starting to do that.
They don't know
We had a provider that was an absolutely not, and then now he's doing it not just for us, but for all his patients.
Yeah, so, I'm very selective on that, just like I'm very selective on the products that we use.
Well, thank you. I know we've gone down the rabbit hole a little bit because I just wanted to put you on the spot. And thank you for your passion and for everything you've taught me. And I hope some more people, especially providers around here, will come and talk to you, and maybe you learn from them and they learn from you. Absolutely. And then you can send more people to these providers that are nearby.
Absolutely. Yep. Okay. I think it's been fun.
Me too.
Thanks.